Hey folks, Brian here again, and I want to show you something really cool. I want to show you a .NET application running on Meadow, running on a microcontroller. So let's do it. This guy of Visual Studio for Mac here. I'm going to create a new application. I'm going to create a console application. We're going to call this Hello Meadow. Hello. I think I might already have one called that. Yep. Let's call Hello Meadow 2. So we're going to say create that jobby. Application is made. Maybe. Visual Studio for Mac takes a little while sometimes. So here we are. We have an application, public static void main, pretty simple. We're going to change this up a little bit. Hello world from Meadow. And let's get a little fancy here. We want to show how we can use full .NET. So why don't we use some, why don't we do some async await. Let's do public static async task int, and we'll call this do something cool, because we're all going to be building really awesome applications that do cool things. And let's do a little math. Var foo equals 1 plus 7, and then why don't we await something? Await task delay. Let's do something real short, 200 milliseconds, and then we're going to return foo. And then up here, we're going to console write line. Do something. We can do that. Do something cool, and we're going to string that. And I think we gotta import a little namespace. So this should be good. Should be rock and rolling. Let's build that. App is built. We go grab our, where was it? Hello Meadow 2. Go find our binary. Here it is. Hello Meadow 2 exe. Oh, we have to do one other thing. Options. The setup right now is it looks for a hard-coded app name, app.exe. So we're going to rename that, output, and rebuild it. And building. And I grab this app.exe. I'm going to copy it over to my my temp directory. Replace that, and here I have I'm connected to my device via our fancy, I talked about this before, our fancy semi-hosting ST-Link connection. And then I'm going to fire up a GDB debug instance, and I'm going to reset my board. So I just hit the reset button on the board. And now in my GDB, I'm going to target remote 4242. So this connects to the device. And there's a breakpoint at the very beginning of this. We've set a breakpoint so that if anything happens during execution, we make sure that we actually can start from the very beginning of the operating system bring up. So we're going to continue through that breakpoint, and then it's going to go, and what it's doing now is actually, I mentioned in the last video, I think I did, that we have this cool thing called semi-hosting, and what that does is it allows us to connect our host computer to our Meadow board and use the file system on the host computer as if it were part of the Meadow board. And the way that we use this right here is that in order to save time in our development cycles, instead of having to reflash and redeploy an app every time to the device, we actually just drop our app into our temp directory on our host machine, and then it loads over JTAG to the device. Now it's also loading the MS core lib, which is in the temp directory as well, and that's 4.2 megabytes, which is why this is sort of ticking along. But let me show you what this looks like. So here's my fancy iPhone cam. So here's the Meadow debug board and a pile of peripherals and things coming out of it. So this here is the JTAG interface. This is we have a serial debug output from the headers on the device, and then of course that's the main USB plug-in where you can flash things and whatnot. So let's go over here. Looks like it's finishing up copying over that MS core lib and running it. So this is going to change soon. We're not going to have to deploy this MS core lib every time. That'll just be flashed as part of the OS. And so this will be very fast. And by the way, right now the bring up on this OS is somewhere around 1/4 of a second from hitting the reset button to getting, oh, there it is, Hello World from Meadow. There it is. Very awesome. And pretty stoked to see that running. So that's it. That's our Hello World, and this is pretty awesome because this is a mono application actually running on a microcontroller doing fancy stuff.